This conference will now be recorded.
Hey everybody, this is Dr. Doug Smith. It is Monday at 2:30, so it is time for our Monday through Thursday 2:30 podcast. This is the podcast where you will hear the science about what actually happened to many during this opioid crisis. And if you've been following us for a while, you know I'm in the middle of writing the book. I've got 6 chapters completed. I have 3 left. I'm working on one right now. The last 3 are the easiest. So I can see the end of the book now. Once the book has been written, there's still more work. There's an editing process, and then I somehow got to figure out how to get the images in. There's a lot of work left, but we're pretty close to the end of getting the book written. Very excited about that. And as I'm going through and writing the book, I'm going through stuff I hadn't looked at in years, and I came across this email that is on your screen right there. This is an email from me to Dr. David Nutt. Now, who is Dr. David Nutt? Well, Dr. David Nutt was he's actually very famous. I was very fortunate to track him down and very fortunate that he engaged in a dialogue. Dr. David Nutt was the British drug czar under Prime Minister Tony Blair. He is a world authority on addiction. And he's British. He's not American. And so he's not tied to HHS, NIDA, FDA, CDC. He's not tied to our bureaucracies, and he's not tied to the dog food coming out of our bureaucracies. In fact, he's written very well about some of the nonsense coming out of the United States. And so if you look closely at the email, what I've done here is I've quoted one of our experts. Okay, this is the psychiatrist. Actually, she's not a psychiatrist. She's an addiction expert at HHS, Health and Human Services. She actually trained as a internist. But this is one of our bureaucrats, one of our doctors in the bureaucracies. This is HHS, Health and Human Services. Okay, and this is Dr. Ingrid Olsen, who testified before Congress. Okay, and this is a quote from her book, The Opioid Epidemic, What Everyone Needs to Know. I find that title arrogant. What everyone needs to know, as if this woman had an insight into what we need to know. And let me read the quote to you. Okay, and this is from page 53 of her book. On page 53 of her book, Dr. Olsen makes the following statement, and I quote, "Deep in the reward center of the brain of someone with addiction, an opioid causes, at least at first, an enormous release of the neurotransmitter dopamine," end of quote. Okay. And then here's my question for Dr. David Nutt. Dr. Nutt, other than the archaic 1988 Italian Dictionary study refuted by Daglish and Watson, Dr. Nutt, are you aware of any well-done and replicated studies that scientifically support this statement by Dr. Olsen? Thanks. And this is his reply. I do not. And that is Dr. David Nutt. I do not. Dr. Nutt, this is what I'm asking him. I'm saying, Dr. Nutt, are you aware of any science supporting Dr. Olsen's statement? Are you aware of any science? I do not. Are you aware of any studies that support that statement? I do not. In other words, here's one of the world's experts saying there is no scientific basis for the statement that when you take an opioid, it causes a surge in dopamine in your brain. That's what the whole dopamine theory of addiction is based on. That's what the whole opioid theory of addiction is based on. That when you take an opioid, you get a surge of dopamine in the brain. That when you take an opioid, you get a surge of dopamine. And this surge of dopamine in the brain is so wonderful, so fantastic, that you dedicate your entire life to chasing the surge of dopamine in the brain. That's their theory. That's how and why they call you an opioid addict. That's how they label you a drug addict. Okay. But when you ask if there's any scientific evidence behind that, no, there's not. No, there's no scientific evidence behind that. They had a 1988 study, okay, but then there were 2 studies that tried to replicate it, Douglas and Watson. You see them both right there. And both studies, which by the way were done with humans, the 1988 study was done with rats, and the 1988 study used a very inferior technique called micro dialysis, where you hold the rat really still, drill a hole in its skull, stick in a little glass tube, and glue it in place. Can't imagine anything that could possibly go wrong with that process. Okay, and supposedly in 1988, Dagger saw a little surge in brain dopamine when morphine was given. Okay, but then they went back and tried to replicate the study using humans, not mice, but humans, and using the PET scan, positron emission tomography. Don't get caught up on the science, but using a better technique than drilling a hole in the skull and gluing little glass tubes. And when they used humans and used a superior technique, they didn't see any surge in dopamine when they gave an opioid. And they tried it twice. Douglas did it in 2014, and actually Douglas did it in 2011, and Watson did it in 2014. And they both confirmed each other, which, by the way, Dr. David Nutt was an assistant researcher on both of those studies. So he knows what he's talking about here. Okay, so for Dr. Olson to say, and let me read this again. Deep in the reward center of the brain of someone with addiction, an opioid causes, at least at first, an enormous release of the neurotransmitter dopamine. There's no science behind it, and this is the top person at HHS, and this is what the book is dedicated to, and it's mainly about. Okay, I don't want to use the word that I don't want to say they're lying. So give me a word. Okay, I don't want to say they're lying, so I need a word. Help. I need some help here, guys. If they're not lying, what are they doing? What's this called? If that's not lying, what is it?
Arrogance.
Oh, is that Charles?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Charles. Oh, do you see the screen in front of you?
Yes, I do. I've been listening.
Oh, okay. Okay. This is Dr. Ingrid Olson, who's, this is the top person at HHS. HHS oversees the FDA. HHS oversees the CDC. HHS is the top health agency in the country. Okay. And this is the top addiction person at HHS. Okay. And you see what she says. Now, David Nutt is a world authority. This isn't me saying, hey, Dr. Olson, you're lying. This is Dr. David Nutt saying there is no scientific evidence for what she's saying. Charles, do you have a problem with that?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. A big one.
Charles, if I'm not mistaken, you were labeled as an opioid addict, right?
Oh yeah, still am.
They labeled you an opioid addict. They're calling you an opioid addict, aren't they?
Yep. Anytime I'm at a doctor's office or a hospital, that's on my record.
Charles, when you look at the fact that they've labeled you as an opioid addict when there's absolutely no science behind it, how does that make you feel?
I have mixed feelings in a way because opium has been around a long time, and it's been affecting people a long time. Since ancient China.
Yeah.
And it mimics a craving or an addiction. It does similar things like that. It kind of mimics it, except for the autonomic dysfunction. I mean, I could see making a mistake for a while and not understanding that, but everybody has got a group think going on.
Right. Groupthink is known medically and scientifically as cognitive bias, and that's what's going on here.
Well, people that talk about Donald Trump, they say he doesn't follow the science. The science is settled. There's no science ever settled.
Well, what's interesting is the people, in my opinion, those who are out there saying follow the science, are the very ones not following the science themselves.
You're right. You're right.
We saw this during COVID. Anyway, I got 3 chapters left. The one that I'm working on now, the next chapter after the one that I'm working on, I'm going to open. I think I'm going to open with this thing with that you're looking at on the screen right there, because it makes the discussion bigger than just us. Okay, we're bringing in. We had a direct dialogue with a world expert. I think we need to bring that into the book.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, what's our time here? We are right on time. Let's hold right here. Charles, thank you very much for joining us. Alex, as always, thank you for everything that you do. Everybody, please remember to like and subscribe to us. Don't forget to post this podcast on your social media, everybody else's social media, and we're going to make a little addition to all of our podcasts today and from now on. If you're not aware, Friday afternoon about 5 o'clock, there was an attack on the CDC. An armed attack, and the gunman killed a police officer, father of 4. Okay, this gunman was angry about COVID. This gunman was angry about COVID, the COVID vaccine. This gunman felt that the COVID vaccine had harmed him. Ladies and gentlemen, we are peaceful people. Our movement is a peaceful movement. We will not tolerate violence in any way, shape, or form in our efforts and in our movements. We are going to see revenge. We are going to see justice. But we are going to do it the proper way and through the court system. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are with us, violence cannot be a part of your thinking or your actions. Charles, you agree with that?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay, no violence on our part. Because when you resort to violence, you lose. We will
just
win.
Change the discussion completely.
Yes, we will win in the courts. All right, let's hold here, and we'll see everybody back tomorrow at 2:30. Thanks. Bye-bye, everybody.